The P-Gate controversy has taken several bizarre twists and turns today. This was already a strange, disgusting and unthinkable episode where a grown man got so drunk on a flight that he urinated on a fellow passenger, a 70-year-old woman. Now, a day after the identity of the perpetrator of this vile act has been revealed as one Mr. Shankar Mishra, he has tried to indulge in the most pathetic form of cover-up. His lawyer released a statement and screenshots of personal chats between Mishra and the victim of his drunken binge. In these WhatsApp chats, Mishra offered to transfer money to the victim and pay for her laundry bills. Her acceptance of this money, a measly 15,000 rupees, is being held up by his lawyers as some kind of proof against her. In these chats, the victim has also mentioned that her daughter and son-in-law are very upset and want to file a complaint, but she is holding them back because he's promised her he will reform himself. The lawyers of Mishra have revealed this WhatsApp chat by this woman to try and prove some kind of point. Eventually, the victim's daughter has messaged Mr. Mishra saying, "We are returning the money, don't contact us again." Now, what is adding insult to injury by Shankar Mishra, who, by the way, is still absconding, is that he's trying to justify his actions because he paid some money and pointing fingers at this 70-year-old lady for changing her mind at a later date. Does it take away from his perverted behavior? That's the question that the law will answer. Meanwhile, it's been a day of fast-paced developments. The accused has released WhatsApp chats with the woman and says he paid for her laundry bills. Air India CEO, meanwhile, has penned a letter to the staff. New SOPs have been put into place. They've said improper behavior should be reported immediately. DGCA, meanwhile, has also issued guidelines for airlines to deal with unruly passengers, says even use restraining devices akin to handcuffs on board if necessary. The accused, Shankar Mishra, is fired from his job. Wells Fargo says allegations are deeply disturbing and he is still absconding even to this day. Imagine this, he's sending his father or his lawyers to put his point of view, but where is he? Delhi police, meanwhile, has sent teams to nab him. The father of the accused has come out today to say his son is innocent and calls it an image-tarnishing exercise. Meanwhile, the Delhi police has summoned the pilot and the crew. All 8 Air India crew members of that flight have been summoned for questioning. But the big question today is dry cleaning of those urine-soaked garments and bag enough penance for the vile act? Because that's what the release of these WhatsApp chats seem to suggest. That at least I transferred some money and I reimbursed her for dry cleaning. Does this PR blitzkrieg that has been launched by Mishra's lawyer make his case even weaker? Because he's admitting that he's done what was claimed. And can the victim be blamed today for changing her mind on the apology after consulting her family? Today, there are a lot of people who are saying, oh, but she took the money and then she gave it back. She was not going to file a complaint. Why has she done this now? So what if she changed her mind is really the question. If Mishra is innocent, as his family claims, and his father is claiming this, why is he still absconding? Is it time now for clear rules on limiting alcohol intake on board flights? Is also a big question we need to ask. Before we go to our panel, I just want to quickly play out what Shankar Mishra's father said today. All right, we'll get to that in just a bit. But meanwhile, I have with me Jitendra Bhargav, a former ED of Air India, Captain Amit Singh, founder Safety Matters Foundation, Ajay Attorney, editor live from a lounge.com, and Saroj Damania, aviation lawyer, joining us on the show today. Welcome to all of you. Mr. Bhargav, I'll begin with you. And what a mess this has turned out to be. Now, a big point coming through, and Air India today has talked about new SOPs in place, the DGCA is putting new SOPs in place, is still the behavior of the crew, who for some reason took it upon themselves to play mediator between Mishra and this lady. Is that standard practice?
Manna, let's not make it messier. We have enough of mess on the November 26th flight from JFK to Delhi airport. Let's stick to facts which were on the flight that took place and duly recorded by the crew in their in-flight report, as is the practice that all flights have a report at the end of it. Now, what are the contents of that flight? First is an accusation being made now that it was the Air India crew which tried to bring about a compromise. This will need to be verified by other co-passengers. Let's leave it at that. Now, the question is, and you have said it in so many words, that there was an attempt being made to launder the goods, and therefore one can pass on. What is the reality? Let me quote the crew member of the flight who was witness to the entire thing. The victim, the aggrieved passenger, had demanded that her dress, bag, and shoes be dry cleaned. It wasn't an offer from the culprit passenger. It was a demand that was acceded to, and he took the clothes and paid for it. Hold on. Let's put the facts in perspective. I am holding no brief for Shankar Mishra. What he has done is deplorable, reprehensible. I'm all for it, for the stiffest punishment to be meted out to it. But let not fact be sacrificed. Let not, you are talking about victim shaming, let's not shame the perpetrator also. What has happened, let's stick to the facts. And the inquiry committee is in place. The Air India's managing director has gone on record. Yes, some faux pas were made. And the biggest one being that having come to a conclusion...
Mr. Bhargav, what is the point you're making? It's not about shaming the perpetrator. I mean, what he has done, he should be ashamed himself.
No, I'm only
Today's father comes and says he's innocent, and I don't understand how. I mean,
no, you put it in your introductory remarks that the culprit passenger had volunteered to pay the money. I'm only putting the facts in perspective.
Yes, we have shown the facts. We have shown the facts. We have stuck to all journalistic principles. We have shown the facts.
I will show you the facts also based on the Infect Service report which happened on the 26th of November. What you're talking about is of the subsequent day when the lady passenger had met the family members and they reneged from what is that. How will Shankar Mishra get her clothes, shoes, etc. if they were not to be given to him for laundering? The messages are very clear that he's asking them, tell me when can I have them delivered? I'm again clarifying it. I hold no brief for this culprit passenger, Shankar
That's
Mishra.
fine. What is the point you're trying to make, Mr. Bhargav?
Punishment. But let's not sacrifice the facts and paint somebody as a bigger devil than he is.
I mean, I don't know what gauge we will use for bigger devil than he is. If he has taken her clothes and dry cleaned it, does it condone what he does? What he does is criminal. He's facing criminal offense. My problem is, I'll tell you what my issue with this is. And let me get Captain Amit Singh into this. What my issue with this is, yes, from what Shankar Mishra's lawyers seem to have put out, first of all, putting out WhatsApp messages between both of them in the public domain in itself is quite a creepy thing to do, very frankly.
Agreed.
It's just, I mean, it's not speaking well of this man any more than his actions. Secondly, they are trying to compare the act of paying 10,000 rupees plus dry cleaning bills as some kind of justification that we reached to a consensus. This is what we agreed. The 70-year-old lady, mid-air, confronted by the man who just urinated on her, you know, who says later that I was in shock. I had to say, okay, whatever. She, in her wisdom, decided, acha, chalo, theek hai, let it go, let me get on with my life. And that's okay.
It isn't.
No. Well, an act has been committed on board an Indian aircraft.
Yes.
Whatever the position of the victim and the perpetrator is, the law will take its own course. So we have to look at what happened on board, not beyond that. That is for the civil case, whatever they decide. But as far as DGCA is concerned and the immediate FIR, an incident has happened, and that needs to be taken through the regulations. So a crime has been committed, even though they may have reached an agreement and later on fallen out. It doesn't matter. Crime is a crime. So we have to go as per the law. So the law even says that if a cabin crew sees something happening and decides not to do anything, in US it has happened. So she is a party to the crime. So we will have to get witnesses and all that details to come to a conclusion, but that is on the investigation authorities. But as of now, was the procedure followed or not? Was the cabin crew following their procedure as far as the service is concerned of liquor? It is also given in the conventions, like the Warsaw Convention, that if the cabin crew observe a person getting intoxicated, they continue to serve him or her more liquor, then they are basically arming the person, and that person, intoxicated person, can become a threat to the aircraft and fellow passengers.
No, agreed. The cabin crew, clearly, there was dereliction of procedure by the cabin crew. They have been summoned by the police. There is an investigation internally within Air India. The CEO, Mr. Campbell, has written out new SOPs. It's come from within. They messed up. I'm talking today about Shankar Mishra, and I'm going to go back to Mr. Bhargav on this. I'm talking about Shankar Mishra because he has decided to put his side of the story forth, and we will cover his side of the story. We will cover all sides of the story. What's really irking me, and the question is, that they are trying to say, this lady took my 15,000 rupees. How dare she open her mouth now? That is the tone and tenor.
So, Tamanna, whatever be the tone and tenor, ultimately it be the documents on record. What the witnesses put it on record before the internal committee, that you will come to a firm conclusion. It is not one version versus the other. There's so many others. There are co-passengers on the flight who can be summoned by the police, who can be summoned by the Air India management and said, look, this is what the versions are. These are the gray areas. Let's have a firm opinion on whether this is right or wrong. Now, the question that as Captain Amit is saying, that the crew serving liquor, etc. I've often said, and I've been director of in-flight services, it's very difficult to stipulate that you will give passenger 2 drinks. Now, you can always, a person can go to the media and say, look, I'm paying 4 lakh rupees for a business class ticket to JFK and back. And Air India's crew had the temerity to tell me that I'm not going to serve you the 3rd drink. Who's she to decide whether I'll get drunk on the 3rd drink or not? There are very many gray areas. But the first thing is, of course, the best thing is that the people must know how much to drink, etc. And that is what is it. The crew, of course, can certainly observe. And they will be fully protected by the management. I, as director, have protected the crew that when you get a complaint from a passenger not having been served adequate drinks, protect the crew because you take the word for it. But the best people to support any contention, either of the agreed passenger or the culprit passenger, would be co-passengers on board, the cabin crew on board.
But there is no contention. Nobody is denying that he unzipped his pants and urinated on this woman on that flight.
Denying it. Tamanna, please, I've said
so
it
what
in so
is the
many
contention,
words.
Mr. Bhargav?
No, please. No, that's not the contention. That's an action that took place and several actions followed. And what are we talking about? The payment, etc., are the actions that followed that incident. So let's not confine it. I'm again repeating it. It's an unpardonable act. He should be given the stiffest punishment. Let him be behind bars. Let him be barred for life from flying on airlines. But the facts should remain as facts, and let's be judged. Let's not say that, look, everything that he did was right and everything that the victim passenger did was right. This is not going to be.
You know, it's irrelevant whether I sit and say who is right and who is wrong. It will be judged by law, and I will come to Saroj Damania on that. I just want to play out what Mr. Mishra's father said today, because it also explains where the family is coming from and the position that they're preparing to take legally. Let's listen to that.
सर, ये टोटल झूठा केस है. मेरा बेटा अमेरिका गया हुआ था. वो रेलवे से उसको न्यूयॉर्क में फ्लाइट पकड़ना था. वो करीब 30-35 घंटे सोया नहीं था. ऑलमोस्ट समझ लो कि 1 दिन 2 दिन सोया नहीं था. वो न्यूयॉर्क से फ्लाइट पकड़ा. वो रात को खाना खा के, इवन फ्लाइट वाले पीने को देते हैं, ड्रिंक देते हैं, तो पिया होगा और वहाँ से रास्ते में सो गया. और उसके बाद में जब वो उठा तो उसको ऐसा, मुझे जो बताएगा मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ, मुझे जो समझ में आ रहा है, बाकी मैं तो वहाँ पे था नहीं. तो उसको बाद में एयरलाइंस के लोग ने उसको बुला के पूछा. बाकी मुझे नहीं लगता कि ऐसा करेगा. वो लेडी 72 ईयर की है, माँ के जैसी है. ये 34 साल का बच्चा है. ऐसे कैसे कर सकता है? वो शादीशुदा है, उसकी एक बेटी है 18 साल की. ऐसा कोई भी आदमी नहीं कर सकता है.
ओके, 34 साल का बच्चा है, 34 साल के बच्चे की 18 साल की बेटी है. I mean, a lot is frankly not adding up. I don't know what this father is saying, and if he knows so much of what happened, where is his son? Why is his son absconding? Saroj Damania, I want to come to you because clearly his lawyers have put out their legal defense. They are preparing to formulate a defense, which is, I mean, I can't understand what it is. If you can just enlighten us.
See, what they are trying to show that it is maybe a concluded contract between the parties. So this is problem here. People are not understanding it. First and foremost, on the aircraft, he has committed a crime, urinating and flaunting himself in front of female passengers and other passengers. First and foremost, Air India crew have not followed protocol. They were supposed to isolate him from the victim. Instead of isolation, they have tried to confront whatever may be the case. Even if he has got his clothes, the victim's clothes dry cleaned, he has not done them some big favor, or 15,000 rupees is not going to solve the crime what he paid for it. It cannot be just. It is like I stab you and then I take you in a rickshaw to the hospital and told her, I stabbed her, but I took her to the hospital. That is why I am justified. I did a good deed. That is why I should not be punished for stabbing that person. It is that type of behavior what they are trying to do, and it's a petty stuff by putting out these WhatsApp chats and small things and showing that, boss, this is not responsible now. But what we are here seeing is, till today, still people were questioning, is this the statement of the victim correct? Was she justified? Now, at least from this laundry statement or something, we come to know that yes, this urinated business which he has done is a correct fact, because he himself says he has done it. And thereafter, he has offered
Saroj, do you think he's made his case worse? He's made his case worse because he's provided proof.
Yes, he has admitted, his lawyers have admitted the position. Now, only question remains whether, of course, he has to, why is he not coming out? He should surrender. If he thinks he has not done anything wrong, why is he not surrendering to the police? Why is he absconding? Why is the father coming out with the statement? The father should come and cooperate, tell where his son is hiding. Why is he running from the law agencies?
34 साल का बच्चा उन लोग ने उसको पिला दिया. Ajay, attorney, you know, this is the thing. I mean, for parents, of course, your child will always be a child, but my 34-year-old son, they gave him liquor, he had not slept. I mean, I don't know if the crew, you know, funneled liquor into his mouth to the extent that he didn't know what he was doing. Tell me now, from the airline's perspective, obviously, this is just very, very bad news for Air India. A new management is trying to turn it around. There could not be worse publicity than this. They have put out statements. They've said that they're changing SOPs. What do they need to do to ensure that passengers feel safe?
Hi, Tamanna. So basically, you know, in this case, Air India has dropped the ball royally. And I think whatever defense that, you know, one of my co-panelists is trying to give is not correct. I think, you know, in this case, and there was one more case, I'm sure we've heard that happened on the Paris-Delhi sector 10 days after this. Again, so I think what Air India needs to do is do some soul searching. And Air India really needs to encourage its cabin crew and its pilots to follow the law and tell them, guys, we are behind you. You know, I think, and I was on one of your colleagues' show a couple of days back, and said the same thing, that, you know, this displays chalta hai attitude. Basically, the crew, the cockpit crew and the cabin crew was just trying to make sure that they don't have to work after, because obviously when you file up a report like this, there is follow-up action on that. So nobody wanted to ensure that kind of thing
I just want to understand one thing, Ajay. Are the cabin crew in a position to do this, you know, sort of a deal between the two the aggrieved party and the perpetrator? Who's given them the right?
I think that was the lack of common sense there. You know, when obviously when you're trying to break a fight or something, you're trying to keep these people away. And in this case, obviously, what I have heard is the pilot in charge, who's the commander of the flight, basically did not want this second passenger to be put up in first class. Obviously, there are reasons that Air India put up a policy where they said, okay, no more self-upgrading passengers on board. But I think this is where I think the PIC needs to be questioned, because he could have really made a difference, or she could have really made a difference in this case. But yeah, so yeah, I think Air India really needs to get all their crew back in the training rooms and tell them.
No, this is an opportunity. And, you know, to be honest, this is going to be maybe an unpopular take. He could have done this anywhere. How the Air India crew behaved was terrible. They will be pulled up. But let's not forget who started this. It is Mr. Mishra, who got so drunk that he can't remember he urinated on someone. Mr. Bhargav, I'm going to give you the last word, even though I'm over, because a lot of people have commented on your statements. So in all fairness, I should give you an opportunity to respond very quickly, please.
You know, Tamanna, why are people commenting on my statement? It's simple. They do not have access to the documents. They do not know what really happened. They are basing their comments on the letter that is in public domain. Rest of the information is not in public domain. On 10th of January, after the inquiry committee has finished with its eyewitness accounts and other things, taken all documents on record, and they're released in public, and I'll be the first one who will advocate for Air India's own good, that they should place the public with the crew version, what passengers have said, the other passengers have said in public domain, and let them come to a conclusion. We have for far too long, for 48 hours now, been propagating various things based on a mail that was written to the chairman, one side version, without heading the other side. I hold no brief for the father of Shankar Mishra.
You know, the problem is, I'm sure there is more to the story, and we will be covering it as it emerges.
And not come to a conclusion.
No, but there is, the problem is, like Sarosh said, Shankar Mishra is not denying he did this.
Nobody can deny. It's there on the record.
Then it's actually, the story is over. He should have today just apologized, turned up, been arrested. Why is he hiding and sending his father to bat for him?
I said there is one action that took place, and there was subsequent action that followed.
Can you compare that one action and subsequent actions? All right, I'm running out of time. I will have to wrap up. But there is obviously more to the story. Thank you so much to all of you for joining us today.